A better variety, 95 CKNB. We're here for a good time. Raise a little hell. Oh, pretty lady. The boys in the bright white sports car. Whether you're from the big city or the smallest of villages in this country, you've probably heard Trooper on the radio, at a party, or playing live. In fact, they've played almost everywhere in this country. Tomorrow night, Trooper brings their musical party to the Civic Center, along with special guest the Paul Lee Band. Ray McGuire is Trooper's lead singer, and along with co-writing the band's songs, has just published a book about Trooper's adventures on the road, appropriately titled, We're Here for a Good Time. With us now is Ray McGuire. Hi, Ray. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Hi, Steve.
Listen, everybody in Canada knows at least one Trooper song. You can't say that about all Canadian bands. That's got to be something you must be proud of.
Well, we've taken a long time to get to that, but yeah, you're right. It's something that gives us a big kick just about every night when we're out on the road.
During the past couple of weeks, we've been giving away tickets to the show, and I've been talking to some of the qualifiers. This is what I find interesting, Ray, the age range. I'm talking to one lady who's 24, another lady who's in her 70s, and swears Raise a Little Hell is her favorite song. And the other thing I noticed was that it's mostly women that seem to be calling. We get like 15 women calls to 2 male calls. What's the deal on the ages and the women, Ray?
You know, I don't know the answer to either of those questions. Can we start again?
Hey, there's lots of chicks after you guys.
Yeah, well, the chicks thing is good, I suppose, and the ages thing, I mean, the all ages thing, a lot of our shows, you know, you get onto the stage and all you see is people under the age of 20, which is probably the even weirder part of what's going on for us these days. And there's people out there that know our songs and weren't even alive when the record was made. So and the chick thing is good, you know. I mean, we're not a heavy metal band where you get all guys with their arms in the air, and I mean that works out really good for everyone.
Can we talk about the book, Ray?
I'd love to.
It's called Here for a Good Time.
Yeah,
on
surprise,
the road.
Eh?
What's that?
I say surprise.
Yeah, I know. I was really surprised at seeing that.
Yeah.
But Here for a Good Time, on the road with Trooper, Canada's legendary rock band. Now, when I picked it up, I thought it might be an autobiography, but it's not. It's kind of a memoirs in progress, or back in the days before the internet, what we used to call a diary.
Right.
How'd this thing all get going, anyway?
Well, it is totally internet related. I've been online since 1996. I had a website in 96 writing about those things which I thought people would find interesting. And, you know, as time went on, the whole concept of blogging came into favor, and, you know, basically then what I was writing became a blog. And, you know, I've just basically written about the parts of my life that I think people would find interesting, and I've come to see that, you know, virtually everybody has this desire at some level to run off and join the circus. And so, you know, my life is probably about as close to that as you can get. So that's, you know, the kind of things that I document in the book.
Now, Rick Mercer says Trooper is part of Canada's soundtrack, and he says, you know, like My Canada includes Ray McGuire and Trooper here. He calls you Canada's poet laureate, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool, eh?
Yeah, and then Peter Cheney from the Globe and Mail says the best histories are told from the trenches, and Ray McGuire is a rock and roll soldier who's lived to tell the tale.
I like that one, too.
So you'd say that's pretty accurate, would you?
Well, I mean, I like it. They're both very flattering, but, I mean, yeah, at a certain degree, I suppose we deserve some points for hanging in there and still being Canada's band, you know?
A lot of funny antics in the book as well. The signs in the band house story is pretty funny, and the I'd do anything if you'll play Thin White Line. Can you tell that story?
I suppose I can. You know, the note came up onto the stage. There was a lot of underlining, and it was basically the girl says, "Hi, my name is," whatever her name was, I don't remember, "and I would do anything if you would let me sing Thin White Line with you." And then she had written it again. I would do anything, and underlined it like 2 or 3 times. So, you know, I reached down and helped her up onto the stage, and then I said, well, okay, now you need to hear what that anything is going to be, right? And I didn't really, you know, it hadn't occurred to me until Smitty leaned over and whispered in my ear, and so I said to her, okay, here's what I want you to do. You'll do anything. I want you to paint my house.
Wow.
Which at 55 years old, that's a far more valuable anything than...
Did she, by the way?
Well, she's a long way from my local. I would have had to fly her out to White Rock, put her up somewhere, buy the paint and stuff. So really that was pretty much the end of the story there.
Well, the 70-year-old lady offered to do anything for the Trooper tickets, but she didn't underline the anything, so I wasn't sure I was going to do it.
You can deal with that one, man. I'll just...
Thanks a lot, Ray.
Yeah, she's yours.
Now, is it tough writing a book like this, or is it fun? Is it cathartic? What's it like?
It's if I knew I was writing a book, it would have freaked me right out, because it's pretty personal and it's pretty honest. But at the time, it was just an online thing, and I could always sort of imagine that the people who came to my website were, kind of friends who would, forgive me anything. I always had this little joke that, I used to refer to them as, the three of you. Even though, it got to the point where you could tell that there was thousands of people coming to read it, it just seemed more personal and intimate. But with the book out and, in all the bookstores in Canada and right now, it's, if I'd have known that was going to happen, I probably wouldn't have been quite so honest and open.
Well, what I enjoy about the book, Ray, is instead of glorifying rock and roll or the music business, it kind of embraces the smaller things, the meat and potatoes of the tour and that kind of stuff, which can be a lot more colorful, don't you think?
Well, the reality is pretty cool. I mean, the people we meet, the places we go, the opportunities we have. I mean, we get to do stuff, you get your big, rich American adventure tourists, or not just American, anybody, they want to pay the big bucks to get to see and do unusual things, and they don't see half the stuff and get to do half the stuff that we get to do. I mean, we've been out on war canoes on James Bay. We've been out on the tundra with ATVs in Rankin Inlet. We get to do and see stuff that most people would never get to do.
That's one of the things I like about the book is it's basically pure Canadiana. Totally. And a lot of the towns that you mentioned I've either lived in or visited over the years, and I can picture landmarks and different things. I think a lot of people who've traveled that read this book will do that.
Well, and a lot of people who don't travel will get a sense of what it's like to see that much of the country and meet Canadians all over the country, which is, also the great bonus of what we do.
You should talk to Tourism Canada, see if you can get some kind of a, like a little royalty thing going here.
Sheila Rogers, when I did an interview with her on CBC, she said, this book should be called Canada. And I thought, wow, how cool is that, right?
Gotta like that.
Yeah.
Listen, if you put my name in the next entry, it's Bujold, okay? Just in case you were wondering about that.
Okay, you'll be in the index there.
Well, that's good, because I usually just, end up in the bibliography section, so... Well, in the book, you mention a lot about your son, Connor.
Yeah. And
how supportive of his music career you are. It sounds like you're not just a proud dad, but a fan of his band.
Oh, he is my favorite songwriter right now. He's the stuff he's writing is just shockingly good.
Do you think there's any chance you may end up writing with Connor?
I have done already. We wrote a song and made a little film while we were doing it. It's a long story, but if you go to Connor.McGuire, CONNOR, not dot, Connor-McGuire.com, you can hear the songs that he's writing, and actually there's a little film there that we made together. But the songs, the new songs that he's just completed in the last month are just it's unbelievable the quality of music that he's writing right now.
That's another thing you mentioned in your book. You say your goal is to write 15 new songs. How are you coming with that?
Well, I've been kind of giving away the ending of that story arc, because there is pretty much a complete story in the book. I'm having more success now than I was then. Let's put it that way.
The book is called We're Here for a Good Time and is available now in bookstores. Next hour, we'll talk with Ray about what the Trooper show is like today compared with the show in 1977. And I'm going to ask if I can sing with Trooper. Now, you might not believe the answer. Next hour, when we continue our conversation with Ray McGuire from Trooper.